Welcome everyone to the Hudson Roundtable discussion, a moderated Q&A with our parents, current parents and alumni. We're going to begin with some brief introductions for everybody, and then move into a series of questions and hopefully get a lot of insight into what it was like to attend Hudson, but also what it's like as a parent of a child attending Hudson. So first, to begin, my name is Michelle Gao. I've been with Hudson for 4 years now as the Director of Admissions. And it's been really wonderful year over year to just grow with the school and see all of the ways that we've moved through different challenges and enhanced the program and getting to know different parents and students as well along the way. With me, I have Shireen. She's an author, a speaker, a coach, as well as a mother of 4. We currently have 2 of her children at Hudson, Ruby and Shaz in grade 10. And we have her youngest, Simra, joining us for grade 7 next year, which is very exciting. And next is Jill Jabe, Beatrice's mom, as well as the owner of Tailored Living Toronto. And Beatrice will be going into grade 12 next year and graduating with the class of 2023, which is also incredibly exciting. And representing our alumni, we have Mark Showell, who joined Hudson way back in 2007 for senior kindergarten, I believe.
Yeah.
Came all the way through our lower school before graduating just last year with the class of 2021 and going into York University for engineering. So thank you all so much for being here. And I'm going to start with our parents, just if you can think a ways back, or maybe not that far back for Shireen because she has Simra just joining. Can you tell us a little bit, maybe Jill first and then Shireen, why did you choose Hudson originally? And in what ways is Hudson more or less what you expected? And in what ways did it surprise you? What was different?
For us, it was one of those things where, you know, when you hear about something once and then all of a sudden you start hearing about it all the time. That sort of happened for us when our daughter was in grade 7 at a middle school. We started hearing a little bit about Hudson College from parents in our neighborhood, and we decided to go to an open house, thinking about grade 9, but we were so taken with the experience at our open house that we wondered whether we should see if we should get her into the school if possible for grade 8. So she then was invited to spend a day at Hudson, and she liked it, and so we made it happen, and lo and behold, she became enrolled in the grade 8 class. I guess nobody knew what to expect with the pandemic, so with that in mind, Hudson has been just a great experience for our family, for our daughter, and it's a wonderful school, and I'm happy to talk more about that as we go along, but it's I don't think we knew quite what to expect. We liked that it was a small school. We liked that it was a private school. We liked that it was a co-ed school, and the experience has kind of rolled along from there.
Shireen, do you have something to add, having
Yes.
just gone through it, but also back in 2019 as well?
Yes, for us, it was interesting because we had Aman Jahan and Amarta Jani coming to the same congregation as ours, and who they were being, how they were showing up as kids. I've watched them from when they were very young, and their leadership, their spirit of service, how they were leading with a sense of humility in the church, and the things that they did, they were up to big contribution, making a contribution in the community, making a difference. And I used to wonder, like they used to sometimes be rushing, wearing the uniform and coming in. And I used to wonder, like, okay, they go to a private school. And I used to think, okay, that must be very expensive. One day, their mom just sat me down and said, hey, you have very good kids. I really want them to go to this school, and I'll tell you all about it. And I heard that, and as a single parent, I was a bit scared that I don't know if I'll be able to send them to a private school. And she was so enrolling. Her kids have been so enrolling with the way they show up that I was ready. I wanted that for my kids. whatever they shared, you know, I mean, their mother went through cancer and I'm a cancer survivor too. And what she said really moved me because she said the school took care of the kids. She didn't have to worry about them. And that has been my experience. I'm a single parent, I'm a working mother. I have to look after everything. Most of the time, I'm like a headless chicken running around doing everything. I have so much on my plate. And I have to tell you, I don't have to worry about Ruby and Ashaz at all. And it doesn't mean that I'm oblivious of what they're doing. I'm very aware of everything. And I'm observing everything that they're doing, their studies, their interactions with the friends. I know all the names of the children in the school that they interact with, the teachers. I'm very present, and yet I have the freedom and the space to be able to do my work and earn a living and be able to support them. So I'm very grateful for having this school to help me raise these kids in a beautiful way. That's been my experience. And I would definitely bring Simra to this school. I mean, I didn't apply for any other school. That's how it's been. So that I believe in this school. I believe in the teachers. I believe in the work they put in.
You've both touched on two things that I love about working here. One is that every year, I think it's over 40% of inquiries actually find us via word of mouth. So referred by other parents. And number two, because of our fees and our position in sort of the Greater Toronto area, I think it is more accessible, and we have that diversity of a parent community and just that representation. And I think our families really appreciate the value of what Hudson offers their children, but that's really lovely. So over to Mark. Thinking about Hudson, what did you appreciate most during your time here? And has your perspective on that changed at all since you have a little more distance a year out?
One of the things that I appreciated within the school is how easy it was to be notified about different clubs and different events, where stepping away from school and having a year in university, I don't get as many notifications of these so-called like clubs or different like little held things to get involved with like the students and get involved with the community. And that's not nearly as much like broadcasted to the general population of the students. Whereas within Hudson College, it was very much everyone would know that a certain event was going on, and if anyone was interested, you'd be able to join, and you would feel welcome in that regard. And that, yeah, stepping away from that made me appreciate that aspect of Hudson.
Definitely. It's a huge part of the upper school life. And I always love that all the students across the grades can sign up, because I think that's how you really get that mix of older and younger students, not so much in your academics, but really on that club level. So my next question is for everyone. So maybe whoever is ready with an answer can go first. But if Hudson were to be represented as a single person, how would you describe their personality in 3 words?
I can do that. So Hudson, the person, is a person who is approachable, and that person is unpretentious, and they're also extremely supportive.
For me, it would be Hudson as a person is a leader of leaders, causing leadership in others. Hudson is hardcore. Hudson is not focused on teaching subjects. It's student-centric. It's focused on educating children, on the child as opposed to this subject. That's my experience of Hudson, and committed.
Amazing. So Mark?
I would say for me, it would be friendly. I found that everyone within the school was very friendly, very approachable, where you weren't like worried about meeting someone new that you didn't really know and so forth. Another one would be outgoing. I felt that a lot of the people within the school were very like, they were very outside of, not only within the school, they were outside of the school. They were getting involved in things that were on, like, that were held outside of it. And then the next one would be passionate. I feel the majority of people, if not all the people who have graduated from Hudson, have done something or have pursued education that they're very passionate in. And that I don't really see a lot in comparison to other schools. So yeah.
That's a perfect segue into the next question, which is actually for you. What, to your knowledge, if maybe you can expand on that, what differentiates Hudson from other schools, maybe based on what you've heard from other students now at university, or when you were coming into contact with other K-12 students throughout your time here?
What I said is the semester system that Hudson has is one that is very different to other schools. While other schools might have a semestered system, it's usually like 2 to 4 semesters, and it's broken up in ways that don't really follow the university, like the university education in that way, where in Hudson, it's basically exactly how it would be in university, where the first semester is all of the fall, where it goes until winter break. And then after winter break, it goes until April, which was the same as Hudson. And then the final semester within Hudson would replicate like summer semesters that would be held within the university. So I feel like that very separates it from other schools, and what better prepares people to go on to post-secondary education.
I can definitely add to that, because I have 4 kids and my oldest one went to a public school system, because I was a new immigrant then and I didn't know anything about Hudson College, and I see the difference. My older daughter had a big struggle. She couldn't handle university, and because she was not prepared for, you know, the rigor, and she was not prepared for university at all. Not to make any system wrong, but the public system was, I think, from my experience and my understanding as a mother and as a teacher, the public system is set up for making a person literate, like functional. But the Hudson College is preparing the child for whatever the child wants to create for himself or herself in the future. So it's like very committed to what's next for them.
I think also, to Mark's point, within the structure of the semester system, the fact that the day is built to accommodate a study period every day is really smart, because it means that there's, first of all, time to do homework and assignments, but there's also time to collaborate with your peers and to go and get help from a teacher if that's something that you need. And it's part of the day. It's expected. It's part of that supportive environment that Hudson offers, especially in the high school.
Mm-hmm. I always appreciate that, and I love hearing about what students are doing outside of school, because so many of them do kind of finish up with their academics if they use that time well, and then they are pursuing tons of other things. I know, Mark, for you, science was a big focus all the way through, and you were participating in tons of different events every year. But one more for the parents. Can you talk a little bit about what you see as the biggest impacts that Hudson has had on your children or child? Maybe, Shireen, do you want to start us off?
Yes. So for Ruby's always been, you know, bold and more. She's like someone who'd like to be in the front of the room, and she can speak. And Ashaz is more of the shy person. He doesn't express his leadership the way Ruby does, and both have had equal opportunity in cultivating that strength. So Ruby has been able to speak. I mean, I think she has put together a soccer club or football club or something. I don't know, because in India, soccer and football are interchangeable. They use it, it's the same thing. So I know that the fact that she even felt confident to try that. And then with Ashaz, when he came into Hudson College, he was very nervous. I remember he used to literally have physiological symptoms before a test that he wanted to like throw up. He would be nervous. He would want to go to the bathroom. But that kid, after all the support and encouragement from teachers, Mr. Burlock and especially Mr. Wee, he is doing so well for himself. I used to worry about him. I used to think maybe he needs to go for counseling or something to, support him. He is doing so well. He's so much better than before. And I'm very grateful for that. He's built self-trust for himself.
Yeah, truly, this is probably the number one thing parents say to me after a year.
Yes.
Versus the self-confidence
Yes.
that comes out.
Yes.
And I love hearing it.
That is the most perfect segue for me. Are you ready for me?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Beatrice, who is going to be finishing up grade 11 this year, is talented and smart. But she also is someone who could potentially have gotten a little bit lost among a large school environment. And the fact that Hudson is the size that it is, what I've seen is just this slow and steady and ongoing building of her self-confidence over the last 4 years. At first, like, there would be no way that she would ask a question or that she would say the answer even if she knew it. She just didn't necessarily feel that confident. But it's not an accident that this has happened. It's because the school knows exactly what's going on with every single kid. They know if there's drama, they know if there isn't drama, they know who's friends with who, they know who might be having a tough time. The teachers are incredibly involved. Like, this is to me why Hudson shines. The teachers are there to support. They'll do extra help if they need to. They'll, whatever it is that is necessary to make sure the child or the student has every possible chance to succeed. Hudson, that's what Hudson stands for. And so what I've seen is this incredible growth for my daughter over these past few years, so that, when it comes time to go to university in a year and a half, I'm going to feel okay about that, being prepared, that she's going to be prepared.
Okay. Now one for Mark. What's one thing, now you went through Hudson over a lot of changes, 12 years, but what's one thing that you would change at Hudson for the better if you could?
What I said is in relation to more on like hands-on activities and things like that. As you're going to, when I went to university, I noticed that there are a lot more labs that are introduced, and it creates more hands-on activity in whatever field that you're doing, whether it be physics, whether it be chemistry. So that is what I would want to be improved, in a sense, where just allow more like hands-on activity, because it's a much better way to learn.
True science answer, true STEM graduate response. Perfect. So Jill and Shireen, you've talked a little bit about kind of your observations in terms of what you've seen over the past few years in your children. What do your children say to you about Hudson?
Well, we moved next door. They could literally live here. They love the school. They have created a great relationship with the teachers. They are inspired by them. What's really magical is that they also have a relationship with the people in the office. The people working, the non-teaching staff also know the kids. So it's not like the non-teaching staff don't know the students at all. So that's another thing. And the kids are very excited. I mean, there's nothing else they talk about. They've created some great friendship. They have also cultivated, like they have a group of Milena, Sarah, Sabrina, all of these kids. They FaceTime, they work out. they have study groups, they study together, they just hold each other up to their greatest possibilities. So that's the environment, and then they are thriving, and my kids can live there literally in Hudson College. And we just moved next door. They're very happy about that. Very happy kids.
Jill, what
They're
about
happy. I would say they're happy about being in school. They love school and they wouldn't want to miss it.
Yeah, I would say along the same lines. You never get a consistent answer from a 17-year-old girl, but what I think she would say today, if I asked her, was that she's proud of herself for some of the academic and non-academic accomplishments that she has under her belt. You know, as she's learned over the years, I think she's made a really nice, tight community group of friends. Similarly, they do things outside of school and inside of school, and they're kind to each other. I think she would say that she's had mostly a good experience at the school. The only downside that we ever talk about is that she didn't get to go all the time because there was a pandemic. So that was difficult, but even so, I felt that the school, and she would agree, that the school handled the restrictions that had to be in place really well, and that the supportive atmosphere continued to be there, just wasn't in person. So that's what I think she would say.
Yeah, this isn't on our list, but maybe Mark and Shireen, do you have anything to add about your experience through the pandemic and how you felt Hudson responded and what it was like moving through as a student and a parent? Maybe starting with Mark.
Sure. I found that it was very easy to connect to teachers about asking certain things, like asking to review, let's say, an essay or something like that, or asking to questions about more understanding about the material. I feel like that communication wasn't really buffered in any way due to the pandemic. So yeah.
Well, yes, the pivoting was done very, very well, very smoothly. And there was no issues about, okay, now that we're online, it's, as Mark said, the teachers were very approachable, communication was excellent. The kids, it didn't impact the kids in any other way other than the fact that they couldn't physically be in school. It didn't affect the delivery of the courses and the teaching material and the connecting with the students.
Yeah, I'm so impressed by all of our students and what they've done moving through it. And it's also been really reassuring as a staff member, the support of parents and the feedback and the collaborative relationship has been really special in the last couple of years. And hopefully we'll have more of, more consistency, more in class, more sort of global normalness moving ahead in September. So Mark, one question for you, and maybe you'll be able to answer this a little bit as a former student ambassador as well. What's something that families would find surprising about Hudson?
What I would say families would find most surprising about Hudson is the amount of choice that the students are given. When you're going into high school, and yeah, I can relate it back to when I was an ambassador, when I was basically explaining how the school system worked, where you were given these choices starting from grade 9 all the way through grade 12, where whichever courses you wanted to choose, you got to pursue what you wanted to do and weren't necessarily forced to do anything that you didn't really want to, other than certain required courses during certain years. After a little while, it was all up to you. At like grade 12, the only required course you have to take is English. After that, the 5 other courses you get to pick or more it's all up to you. So yeah.
Well, and if I could just jump in there, that whole process in the beginning of grade 12 of trying to figure out where you're even going to go or what to apply for can be incredibly intimidating and scary, and just discouraging. And I know for a fact, talking to other parents in maybe larger public schools, that access to guidance counselors is hard to get. And so there isn't that sort of rudder to help you navigate through the process. And we've already been in touch with the wonderful guidance guru at Hudson and talked about what that might look like next year. And she helped sort of begin the course selection process for grade 12 and open up, what are those potential courses going to lead to as far as undergrad and what schools might be best. And that dialogue, I don't think, is readily available in other schools. So we feel really lucky about that. And I just wanted to jump in on it because it seemed like a good time to bring it up.
Definitely. And so one more for the parents. When you think about Hudson, how would you describe the values of the school as well as the values of the families in our community? We've touched on it a little bit before, but maybe you can expand, starting with Shireen.
I'd say it's more, the values are more based on being a contribution to each other. It's kind of symbiotic, and connection, community, like together, we're doing this together. We're raising kids, growing leaders, cultivating human beings into these dynamic individuals and setting them up for excellence, whatever that means to them, giving them that space to discover that for themselves. That's the value system of Hudson.
Yeah, I think it is. It's sort of a holistic opportunity to help the whole person figure out where they belong and what they're best at and where they're going to excel in the future, and tap into those strengths while still helping them along with the not so strong parts. But it's not the school. I don't look at it as being on the super athletic spectrum or the super brainiac. It's a really well-rounded experience. And if you're good at something, you can be the best at Hudson. I really feel like it's a wonderful community in that way. And to Shireen's point, community is sort of the foundation. There's a great parent involvement community. There's a great student body. The house system, I think, helps the students look at the smaller communities within the school and how they can contribute to those. It really has something for everybody, is my sense. And that's why I sort of was thinking about the school as being really sort of approachable.
I really like the house system that you touched upon. I mean, that really brings in, the opportunity to stretch and really discover how far you can go, and like the element of fun when it's like competition and in a healthy way, so that you set yourself up for excellence. That's a good thing about the school.
Mark, maybe for people who haven't read much about Hudson, would you mind explaining the house system a little bit and tell us what your experience was like with it?
Yeah, sure. So the house system is basically all of grades 8 and above are going to be divided into 4 teams, in a sense, all named after different parts within Canada. And what you're doing is you're getting these points of being active within school events and school clubs. You get these points that are eventually added up to a grand total, and then whichever team has the most grand total wins. I actually forget what they win, but it's a trophy that is won. And then I think a prize for the most earned, the person with the most points or something like that. I can't entirely remember. It was a while ago, but yeah, that the whole house system was very fun in getting involved in doing certain stuff. It was cool to meet new people within the same grade that you might not have a class with, and so it was cool starting up conversation. And yeah, it was just a really cool thing. It was a cool system that I don't see too many other schools doing. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's the house cup that
Ah.
the team
That's
with the most glory finishes with. So back to you, Mark, and then maybe Jill and Shireen, you can expand on this a little bit. What's advice that you would give to students and families just entering the school?
The advice that I would give to new students is to not feel scared about asking for help. One of the big things with jump shifting over to university is if you're struggling in any aspect, asking for help is the best way to get an answer and to try to work on what you're doing wrong. And that was something that I learned relatively early on within high school. And if other people were to be afraid of asking questions, I could see how they might struggle going forward. So if you get over that hurdle early on, then going forward, you're not going to struggle too much with it, with asking professors for help, maybe friends for help, and anyone really.
Jill, is there anything you'd add there?
Advice to parents whose kids are going to Hudson.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought Mark's advice was brilliant, and it applies to parents too. You know, be open, meet people, be kind, just like starting anything new in life, really, I would say, and ask for help, both from a parent perspective. Go to other parents and ask their advice, or get to know the administration of the school, volunteer. I began volunteering at the beginning, like when B was in grade 8, and that really helped me get connected to the school community. And I would encourage any student to do the same thing. Find ways to get involved in ways that aren't too scary, but just a little out of your comfort zone.
I would say that trust the process that the school has put together. Just trust.
Good point.
You're in good hands.
That's a great point.
So I've just got one last question. Thank you so much also to all of you for participating. I think, Jill, as you said, that openness is something I really appreciate in our community, and you sharing your experiences in such an authentic way express my appreciation. And I know everyone at Hudson really appreciates it as well. So kind of a light finisher, what's something you're looking forward to next year?
Next year's a big one for us. Planning for new adventures, I guess. Figuring out the university puzzle. How's that?
Endings and beginnings.
Endings and beginnings.
Shireen?
For me, I'd say, can I come in too? Everybody is in Hudson, like all my kids. I'm the only one left. What's in there? Like, can I stand at the door and welcome everyone? Well, for next year, I would actually love to have a conversation, come in and bring in the conversation of transformative learning and introduce that as a contribution. As a parent, maybe I would love to come in and if there's an opportunity to do a workshop where I can support the students with certain tools and distinctions that they can have in their pockets beyond the academics and beyond school life, where the tools and distinctions that they can take with them to their homes and everywhere they go. I want to make that contribution to the school, but I'm excited because Simra is joining the school, and Simra is excited too. All the brothers and sisters are all in there. So I'm excited about having her in school, and I don't have to pick and drop them anymore. So yes, a lot of good things happening next year with the school, and I'll be available and free to be to do a little bit of my contribution as a parent to the school. I've been waiting for that.
What about you, Mark? This summer or next fall?
Yeah, it'll just be getting more in depth with engineering. So I'm gonna be the first year of engineering was more of like a broad study and so forth. So next year is gonna be more in depth with mechanical engineering, and yeah, we'll just see how that goes going forward. So hoping for the best, as always, hoping for the best.
Well, I look forward to getting all the updates from your mom. It's really been so lovely to catch up with everybody. And again, yeah, hoping to see you in person. Thank you so much for your time and have an incredible evening.